Okay, so new video because someone was asking me how I archive projects in my world. So again, I figured I'd put a quick video together just to kind of show how I do it. So let me check my notes because I want to make sure I get it all right. There's a couple of things that you will need for this process. You're going to need a drive sled or a drive dock that you can drop raw hard drives into. You're going to need those raw hard drives to drop into it. You're going to need some cases to put those raw hard drives into, a P-Touch to label everything, and a cool little application called NeoFinder. So first, let's talk about archiving the library itself. So there's a couple of ways to go about this. As far as where your footage lives, you can either leave your footage outside of the library, or you can import the footage inside into the library. I tend to import into the library when I archive. I leave the footage outside when I'm working on it, but I import it into the library when I archive. My reason for that is that it just gives me one nice little place where everything's collected, and I also don't have to worry about relinking files. If you leave it outside of the library, actually let me show you what my library or my project structure looks like. So here's the Three Frogs Brewing piece that I'm working on. And this is kind of the library structure that I use for all of my projects. So when I'm working on a project, I leave the footage out here in the raw footage folder. For me, it's in Blackmagic. So these are all the cards that I shot. Now, if I leave this stuff out here outside of the library when I archive it, it just means I have to relink the library on the archive drive to the footage. If you import it into the library, you don't have to worry about relinking. Okay, so what's the process then for getting everything into the library? Well, what you're going to do is make sure your library is selected, and then over here in your inspector, you're going to click on Modify Settings. And then here, you're going to come up with a drop down and you're going to tell it to put the media in the library. Motion content is probably going to be set for this when you open it up. I changed that to in library. That way, if I've created any additional motion content, it will get imported into the library as well. That's important because if that content ever gets deleted out of my movies folder, I still have a copy of it that's with the project that it was used in. At that point, you're going to say OK, and let's zoom back out, and then you're just going to click on Consolidate and Consolidate. I'm not going to do that because I'm still working on this project. Once you have consolidated into the library, just to make sure that your file size is smaller, you can go back in here and you can delete all of the footage that's outside of the library, because it will have been brought into the library. The other thing that I do just to keep the file sizes down is make sure your library is selected, and then up under File, say Delete Generated Library Files, and then from that point, I will delete all of the render files, optimize media, and proxy media, and then I would just click on OK. Not going to do that again because I'm still working on this project. All right, so now we have all of the footage in the library. We have everything ready to do our archive. So what we're going to do is then take just this top folder structure and we will drag it over to our archive drive, which is sitting over on our drive sled. So all we would have to do is drag this over and drop it, and then it'll create the copy over here on the archive drive. All right, now that we have it on the archive drive, then what do we do with it? Well, that's where this little application NeoFinder comes in handy. So what NeoFinder is a database of drives. It calls them catalogs, and it basically goes out and scans the drive and creates a database for it. So if we look at the drive, it's this drive that's in the drive sled right now, you'll see over here that if I click on backup 47, it's already done that scanning process. So now it has a database of everything that's on that drive. This is the raw footage from Three Frogs. And if you look in here, it has video clips. If you click on the clip, it will also give you a small thumbnail up here, so you kind of have an idea what's on that clip. Pro tip here that I just figured out a couple of days ago, you can specify what the resolution of that thumbnail is. So I kicked mine up, and now I've got a little bit bigger thumbnails. They're a little easier to see. All right, so once I have scanned the drive, and you can also update drives if you add new content. Once I've scanned the drive in, then if I want to search for something, let me slide in here real quick. I have a client called Workshops for Warriors, and I actually, let me get off of that real quick so that you can see it update. I have a client called Workshops for Warriors. I label everything that I do for them, it has WFW, so Workshops for Warriors. So if I type that in, it is going to scan all of the catalogs here, and it's going to come up with everything that has a WFW on it, including, if we scroll down here, including any projects. And I know it's a project because it has my little folder on it. So I can also double click and open this up. You'll see my folder structure. Again, we can go into all of the different folders, see what's in there, and it will have thumbnails for stuff. Let me back all the way out so you can see it's got thumbnails for everything. So yeah, that and that way I can also, if I need to get this, drive off of the shelf, I can go down here. It tells me it's on backup 041. I'll just go to the shelf here in my studio that has a drive in a drive box with the P-Touch label backup 041. Grab it and bring it back, drop it in the drive sled, and I can bring it back online to my production drives. So yeah, that's kind of my archiving. Of course, you're going to want something off-site as well to have a completely safe archive strategy. And you could use something like Amazon Glacier or Amazon Deep Glacier to do that stuff. It's not horribly expensive to do Amazon Glacier, and it will give you that redundant backup that's off-site. So well, actually, let me check my notes, make sure I got everything. Yeah, okay, got everything. So that's how I do my archiving. How do you do yours? Talk to me about it or post a video of it. Yeah, let's share stuff.